Hey Internet, Orc speaking. Today we're talking about one of the most fundamental movements to aim in Valorant, often known as counter-strafing. By moving one direction, then changing to the opposing direction, there is a short period of time where your character stops moving. This is great for exposing yourself to long angles for a very brief moment. But even more importantly, due to Valorant's unique gun mechanics, it makes your weapon shots accurate for a short period of time. Counter-strafing exists in many different games, but it's especially important in games like Valorant and CSGO, since it's important to understand what makes a weapon inaccurate. There are three different kinds of inaccuracy. Weapon inaccuracy, sometimes known as bloom or spread, this is the natural inaccuracy of the weapon itself. Normally, the more expensive the weapon, the better the bloom is. The second kind of inaccuracy is known as spraying. When you spam or spray bullets, it will create a line that goes above the crosshair. You then have to adjust it by holding down the opposing direction, known as spray control. And lastly, there is movement inaccuracy. When you move, run, jump, all of the above, your bullets begin to go completely random. And this is the kind of inaccuracy that counter-strafing will solve. Now, to start practice counter-strafing, because the timing is a bit odd, you want to go to a flat wall or surface, and to get the timing down whenever I teach newer players, I tell them to pretend like you're pulling the bullet to the direction your character is moving. What I mean by that is you don't actually shoot when the character is at its farthest point. It's actually a hair after when you start moving back the opposing direction. Start by aiming at a blank wall, then doing left to right drills until the bullets go at the exact same spot. Then reverse it by going from right to left, and once you get comfortable with that, you can move on to doing both at the same time, trying to hit the same marks on the wall. Once you get good enough to the point you could vary the distance and you could basically do counter-strafing wherever you want, it would now be a good time to mention that there are a lot of people who have debated whether counter-strafing is really that critical inside of Valorant. In the game that came before it, CSGO, it was very important to counter-strafe because the character was very slippery. However, in Valorant, since the movement is so rigid and sticky, there is something to be said about just releasing the keyboard completely and then shooting, without doing the going back motion. Lastly, for a little bit of general advice, you can counter-strafe by going forward and backward, but you should always be trying to engage people while going left to right or right to left. So if you're ever in a situation where you have to push forward through something, instead of pushing straight through, it's better to go in slightly, turn, and kind of sweep and sidestep to the left or right when coming out of an entry point. Alright, now that you're done here, you should check out the other tutorials in the playlist. Now this video is the first video on this elementary Valorant series, but hopefully, if I'm not too lazy, there should be more by the time you finish watching this. Oh, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.